Parliament could be prorogued, that is suspended as early as tonight, but not before MPs have voted on whether to trigger an early general election. And a bill to prevent a no-deal Brexit becomes law. Well, with me here in Westminster is Maddy Thimont Jack. She's a senior researcher for the Institute of Government. Now, we got all sides talking about going to the courts. Yeah. Just explain how the courts interface with the elected government and the decisions of the Houses of Parliament.
Well, I think the reason that people are talking about going to the courts is all to do with this bill that's going to become law tonight. So this is the bill that MPs passed last week to try and stop a no-deal Brexit on the 31st of October. Now, what it says is that if MPs haven't approved a deal or no deal by the 19th of October, then the Prime Minister must go to Brussels or write to Brussels and seek an extension until January next year. Now, the big question really is the Prime Minister going to follow the sort of what the law says? Now, the government has said that they are going to follow it, but I think the big question is that if they choose not to ask for an extension on the 19th of October, then they may get taken to court because they haven't followed the law that's been passed.
But they're also saying they're going to challenge it in the courts, and presumably there is an arguable case saying, look, you've got an elected government, a government which has been sworn in and recognised, yet it's being asked to do something by a majority of MPs who don't represent the government. So you do come down to, don't you, whether MPs can dictate to the Prime Minister?
I mean, the foundation of this country is this idea of parliamentary sovereignty, and we elect MPs to represent us in Parliament.
Or is it the sovereignty of the monarch and the Prime Minister acting through the monarch?
Well, I think that the government draws its authority from Parliament. That's how sort of government becomes the government, is they've got the majority of MPs, or they've got the biggest group of MPs, which gives them the authority to then form a government. And I think we're at this very odd position where we know the Prime Minister doesn't want to follow what Parliament wants. He wants an election so that he can try and get a mandate for his vision, but Parliament won't give him that. And I mean, I think there is quite a big question. The reason we're in this position is because of this law passed back in 2011, which took the sort of power out of the Prime Minister's hands for calling an election, which means that he's sort of stuck in this position. So there is this tension.
Yeah, but it goes further than that, doesn't it? Because by saying, the majority in Parliament saying that they won't vote for an election, they won't vote down the Prime Minister, they're actually maintaining him in office. And therefore, surely, if they decided they want to maintain him in office, they should respect what he wants to do.
But I think that is the core of the tension, and I don't necessarily have the answer to that, but that is exactly what we're seeing play out right now, and this is why you've got this battle between government and Parliament. But MPs, there is a majority in Parliament who wanted to pass this legislation, and once the legislation, once this bill becomes law, as we're expecting it to do today, the Prime Minister does need to follow the law. That is the position.
Right. OK, if he stays as Prime Minister and he doesn't do it,
that's when the courts could get involved.
What sanctions does he face then?
So he could be challenged in the courts, but I think also we're much more likely to see much more immediately this political sanction, where actually so far, because MPs don't want an election before they can guarantee an extension to Article 50, they've said they're going to sort of maintain confidence in him. But what they could do if he doesn't ask for an extension is they could table a vote of no confidence, vote down the government. If they have an alternative person who they think could be Prime Minister, they could then try and put them in position.
It's going to be even busier in October.
I think so.
Thank you very much indeed.